it's Farley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, October 10th. So today we will see the moon in Leo go void, of course, at 5:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're locking into Virgo energy at 8:02 a.m. So the transition from Leo energy to Virgo energy always is noticed, always is palpable for one specific reason. The fire energy of Leo that has us kind of all riled up, that has us very passionate, very emotional, very much wanting to kind of put ourselves out in the world and just truly express ourselves and stand in our truth and tap into new levels of creativity. Well, that's all well and good, but then we dive into an earth energy, which brings us back down to earth. It grounds us out. And even more than that, we're moving from the heart space, Leo energy, to the head space, because Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, rules over Virgo energy. It's when we have to become a little bit more tunnel vision and focused, maybe bringing some of the ideas, the passion, the fire, the flames that we recognized while the moon was in Leo. We have to bring that into our mental plane. We have to focus on the smaller details. We have to understand what it is that we actually want to bring to life and come up with an organized plan and strategy on how it is that we would do that. When the moon is in Virgo energy, we're very, very logical and practical when it comes to our emotions, comes to our affections. We're more stuck in the mental plane than we are in the heart space. We're trying to get them in alignment, but we're taking a grounded approach on how to do that. We want to create order where there's been chaos, especially in our emotional realm. And because Virgo energy is ruled over by Mercury, what we focus on is what we manifest. We do have to have a cautionary tale kind of put out there that when the moon is in Virgo energy, there is a high potency where we are highly judgmental and super critical, especially when it comes to ourselves. There's this want, need, and desire to intellectualize, compartmentalize the way that we're feeling. And again, sometimes feelings are just meant to be. They're not made to be meant to be made sense of or put in a particular box. So there is this kind of very dramatic shift in mood, in attitude, when we go from a fire energy to an earth energy, because we are definitely grounded, we're rooted, we're a little bit more of a negative Nancy in earth energy than we are in other elements. And therefore, this is going to be a very interesting couple of days in order to really analyze what's going on in the heart space, what's going on in the head space, and what it is that we have to kind of get down to the nitty gritty, roll up our sleeves, take action upon in order to stabilize, in order to create a new order. Now, again, here is October 10th. What do we got going on here today? We have Pluto, the great transformer, going direct. So again, there's an astro forecast for you to take a listen to if you haven't already on what this particular event is going to be. If you've downloaded your Libra season e-guide, you want to flip to this particular page in the workbook in order to kind of unpack what this is going to do for you, where in your life this is going to impact you the most. And if you're wondering where this particular energy could be taking place and impact your life the most, I would definitely recommend downloading your October zodiac forecast and explore where this particular transit is going to show up in your life. So because we have a planet kind of moving direction here, there's always this underlying subtle energy that makes us feel a little bit jittery. And because Pluto has been retrograde since May, really internalizing a lot of that energy for the major changes in growth and transformation within ourselves, having that energy now be externalized, we're feeling like we're on the cusp of something. We're almost waiting for the ball to drop, so to speak. We are going to need a couple of days to acclimatize to this particular energy shift, but just know that there's going to be some intense thoughts and feelings that come out of nowhere, and we may not be able to put our finger on it as of yet. We will gain clarity on that as we kind of, stabilize in this energy, but just know that there is this feeling that something's up, something's coming, something's about to happen. That would be Pluto. Okay, so let's jump into it. The very first thing that we got going on here today is Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, now in this Virgo energy, which, again, we needed a couple of days to acclimatize to. opposing, sitting directly across from Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who is retrograde in Pisces energy. So let's just kind of understand that the Virgo and Pisces axis is the healing axis. The Virgo energy wants to heal the physical realm, the physical body, the mental plane. The Pisces energy wants to focus in on healing the emotional realm, the spiritual realm, the karma, if you will. Okay, so we have Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, now kind of earthed out, grounded out, taking a more logical, practical approach on how she's feeling, what needs to be rearranged, what needs to be restructured in her life in order to create a foundation, a realm of reality that supports happiness, joy, pleasure, safety, security, stability. It's essentially when we kind of take action, start making moves on the things that we've been sitting in, contemplating on since June. Again, Venus had spent pretty much 4 months in that Leo energy. She retrograded in it. That's the heart and soul of the zodiac. We've been building in emotional strength and dexterity in order to prepare us to be making the smaller little adjustments in our heart space and in our physical realm to kind of create a more, I'm going to say, happy-go-lucky realm of living. We're now at the point where we're starting to realize that we are the creators of our own realm, and that we have the power, should we choose to step in it, to create our little world, a little piece of paradise for us that looks good, that feels good, that is more in alignment with our real, raw, authentic, vulnerable selves. This is an opposition though, so we're sitting across the table in a little bit of a confrontation with Mr. Karma himself, Mr. Saturn, and of course he's retrograde in Pisces energy, helping us to dissolve and deconstruct the old version, the old form of beliefs that the old version of self created the realm and reality that we're no longer in alignment with, where it is that we need to break down that system, break down that structure, really break down that foundation in order for us to build a new one in its place. So this is definitely going to be a little bit of an inner struggle, a little bit of an inner conflict, a little bit of an inner battle royale, if you will, because Saturn's here to kind of put the weight of the world on us, especially on our heart space. And this is going to illuminate where it is that we're feeling kind of overwhelmed, whether either in love relationships or money matters or just creating happiness and joy within ourselves. This is going to illuminate where it is that maybe some commitments, some obligations to other people maybe are sucking the life force energy out of us at this point. We're really feeling the weight of the world on our heart space, and we need to feel this dysfunction, this weight, this overwhelming burden in order for us to realize what it is that we've outgrown, what it is that we have to redesign in order to support a more happy-go-lucky type of energy and attitude. This is really going to put us in a tunnel vision type of narrative, bringing, all the mean girls out to play, Negative Nancy, Betty the Bully, we'll call it Petty Patty. We're bringing all of those not so nice narratives out to play. We're very focused on scarcity, what we don't have, what we're afraid to lose, what we think we're lacking, where it is that we're blocked, why we're coming up with excuses, with justifications on why it is that we can't make the changes that we know that we need to make. So this is definitely a breakdown in our narrative and in our heart space. We don't have the most positive of attitudes here. It can feel very overwhelming. And again, we can get very trapped in a negative narrative. So be very cautiously aware about that. The moon, while still in Leo energy, is going to make a tough interaction with Pluto. Pluto, of course, the great transformer himself, still retrograde in this Capricorn energy at this point. Of course, anytime that the moon is aspecting Pluto, there's an intensity coming over us, good, bad, or otherwise. In this case, probably a not so nice instance because we are in a tough aspect here. In order for there to be a change of heart, a change of emotion, a change of perception, a change of understanding. Sometimes we have to sit in the darkness to fully appreciate the light. Sometimes we have to sit in a funk in order to understand where it is that we have to dig ourselves out of it. This is definitely one of those instances, and it only lasts for a couple of hours, and then we have the moon in Leo prior to going void. Of course, the last aspect that the moon is going to make before going void, it's a sextile, beautiful interaction with Mars. Mars. Mars is the god of war. He rules over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger. He's stuck in the intellectual battlefield in this Libran energy. He can't wait to get out of it. He's a little bit restless, has some ants in his pants, really wants to make a decision and commit to a certain idea, a path, a plan. But of course, in Libran energy, we're not making any decisions anytime fast. What this is going to do is kind of bring us back to a point where we have the pep in our step. We're reminding ourselves how strong we are. We're reminding ourselves what it is that we're fighting for. We are kind of giving ourselves the ultimate pep talk at this particular point. We're getting all fired up in all the right ways. We are very, very tunnel vision focused on weighing the pros and cons of some of the possibilities and alternative paths in which we're currently contemplating. We want to make progress. We want to see a little bit of growth, especially in the way that we're feeling, the attitude that we have, especially building up in that warrior type of attitude that we're going to need as we move forward. So again, as I previously mentioned, the moon in Leo is going to go void, of course, shortly thereafter. This particular aspect, when the moon is void, things get shaky, things are uncertain, we're not quite sure on the areas in which we were sure of. Things tend to just kind of fall apart, if you will. Lucky for us, we're not in this void for very long. We lock into the Virgo energy at 8:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And at 10:06 a.m., we have our very first aspect with the moon in Virgo, which happens to be an opposition sitting across the table from Saturn. Just like Venus sat across the table from Saturn earlier, now the moon is sitting across from Saturn. So what we get here is an emotional conflict. What we get here is the moon in Virgo now willing to pick apart, focusing in on the smaller details of what it is that we have to let go of, what we have to dissolve, what we have to deconstruct, what we have to destroy as far as our old perspectives go, our old belief systems go, our old dreams and visions and goals go, because again, we're trying to kind of cut away what belonged to the old version of self. We're trying to emerge in this new version of self that, of course, will take place when we move into Scorpio season, when the cocoon to butterfly or caterpillar to cocoon to butterfly progression will finally come to an end. But right now, of course, we're still on the healing axis of this Virgo and Pisces energy. And emotionally speaking, we have to really confront what it is that we're still hung up on. The moon is then going to come up to, bump into, sit next to, team up with Venus, who is fresh in this Virgo energy as well. Now, this could go one of two ways, and because we're in Libra season, we're likely going to experience a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, because we have to balance those scales out. But the first way that this could manifest is that we are feeling a lot more grounded in ourselves, a lot more stable in our emotions, a lot more sure of what has to be done, what we have to do, what we have to change, what we have to transform in our physical realm in order to give us a foundation, a system, a structure for us to build upon where happiness, joy, safety, and security is concerned. That would be the best manifestation of it. The other column that we could probably be tapping into is this overwhelming sense of pressure, this intensity to fix everything now, to come up with a plan, with a strategy that alleviates us from all of the pain, the dysfunction, the suffering that, of course, our heart space has been going through since June. Now, again, we need to balance the scales between this. So there's likely a whole lot of positive, optimistic point of view, because that's the healing part, but we also have to understand that we have to pick things apart, be super judgmental and highly critical, especially on ourselves, on our heart space, on who and what is making us happy and who and what it does not. And therefore, as we dip into column A, the scales go up. We dip into column B, the scales are going to go down. We have to find a sweet spot in between the highs and the lows of this particular aspect. Now, the moon is going to go ahead and semi-square, creating a little bit of a tension and a conflict with the sun in Libran energy. So anytime that we have the sun and the moon coming together, it's an interesting dynamic because, of course, the moon, typically speaking, represents the past, where it is that we're coming from, looking back on how it is that we even got here, in order to figure out what it is that we have control over, what it is that we can do differently in the here and now that will provide us with a lot more peace, a lot more happiness, a lot more balance in the future. The sun shining a bright light in this Libran energy on the future that we want to build, that we want to create. But right now there's a disconnect. Again, the moon in Virgo energy is kind of, I'm going to say, dissecting our heart space and our head space. We have tunnel vision. How did we get here? What choices did we make that we could have made better choices in order to deviate from the path and the plan that we're currently on? And the sun shining a bright light in Libran energy on what it is that we would like to do moving forward in order to create a, I'm going to say, more stable, more safe, more happy and peaceful environment. The disconnect is this present moment. We know where it is that we're coming from. We have a good idea on where it is that we desire to go, but we're stuck here in the present moment, not knowing how to break away from the old and how to be prepared to embrace the new. So this is going to illuminate for us where it is that we're kind of questioning how to disconnect and how to attach to a new environment, new version of self, a new method, new ways of doing things. The moon is then going to interact with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is retrograde in Aries energy. This is not the best of interactions, but let me just break it down. First of all, Chiron, when aspected in a negative interaction, is going to bring up the pain, the trauma, the wounds. As uncomfortable as that may sound, as uncomfortable as that may be, the moon being in Virgo energy needs to dissect and identify the problem in order for us to fix, solve, and repair it. The whole Virgo mission and purpose is to fix and heal. And because we're struggling with identity wounds, because we're struggling with letting go of certain parts of self in order to build something new in its place, this is a beautiful opportunity, as uncomfortable as it may be, to really get down to the nitty-gritty of the details that is blocking us and challenging us from breaking away from the old and trying to initiate something new. This is going to be like hypervision, if you will, in our mental plane and in our heart space on where the pain and the trauma and the wounds of our past experience is really kind of skewing who it is that we actually are and who it is that we're desiring to become. So again, we have to identify the problem in order to fix it. And this is going to be a beautiful example of really kind of picking ourselves apart and breaking ourselves down so that we can kind of build ourselves up in a much better way. 2:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Pluto going direct. Again, please take a listen to that astro forecast if that is the only thing that you do. There's plenty of guides, content, assistance out there for you kind of work through what Pluto's trying to do in your own individual life. But we definitely feel this shift. Again, we definitely feel like something's changing, something's coming, something's ready to kind of drop. We don't know what that is. We may not know what it is for a little bit of time. Considering the fact that we're but days away and already very much in this eclipse energy, this is just something that we're going to need to step back and act as the observer about. We're not going to be able to kind of pinpoint it. We're not going to be able to take action or make moves upon it, but we do need to kind of step back and see the hints and clues that are coming at us, the direction that is now unfolding for us to take. Shortly thereafter, the moon in Virgo energy is going to make a positive interaction with Pluto, who is now direct in Capricorn energy. I love this for so many reasons. You'll often hear me talk about how anytime Pluto is interacting with a planet in Virgo energy, how we really start to kind of have a lot of epiphanies, have a lot of aha moments, really actively see where it is that we're making some growth, we're making some progress, especially in creating order where there's been a lot of chaos in our emotional realm. That Virgo energy wants to fix, heal, repair, and resolve issues. Pluto, of course, is the great transformer. So it does definitely indicate that of nowhere, we're suddenly going to have an epiphany, an aha moment that changes the game, changes our perception, changes our understanding, changes our mood, changes our attitude, and puts us in a better position. So it's a very interesting day to kind of see where the power struggles are alive and well within us, where it is that we're being positioned to kind of see a new path, a new direction kind of unfold before us. But we do want to act as the observer. So really resist any impulse to take action, to make moves, because we definitely need to kind of get this eclipse energy over with before we're able to actually feel and be in control.